Welcome back to Watch the Booker Man and to episode number 114 of Paul Heyman's TNA. Tonight is a big show because we have CM Punk in the main event making his Impact singles debut. Before then though, we start with a really good match between Kevin Steen and Tyler Black. A 76 is a really good way to open the show, and it gains heat to the storyline associated with the upcoming X Division Championship match. However, we do not get a finish between these two. This match that was made on Evolve gets heated as we'd expect. Paul London and Jimmy Jacobs both at ringside. The tension between them looks to get physical, which leads to Tyler Black leaving the ring. Steen follows him out. They begin brawling. The referee loses control and we throw the match out with a double count out. So just putting over that while we know that Steen and El Generico have this storied history, and we know the storyline recently between Black and El Generico has seen them become fierce enemies, there's also a lot of heat between Kevin Steen and Tyler Black. The match thrown out, but the issues continue. Paul London is able to get the better of Jimmy Jacobs and joins Kevin Steen, who has been brawling with Tyler Black up towards the top of the ramp, as Paul London looks to then help Steen take Black down. Colt Cabana and El Generico come out and they push back against Steen and London. They're not protecting Tyler Black by any means, but of course after what happened last week, they want revenge on Kevin Steen in particular. However, as Tyler Black escapes the attention of everybody, he hits El Generico with a super kick from behind, ever the opportunist as we know he is. Black then goes after Steen, with London and Cabana also beginning to brawl. Eventually the guys have to be kept apart. The commentator's putting over how heated this three-way rivalry has become, even more than we would have ever expected, given that we now have Black and Steen on a similar level of disdain to one another as all the rest. It's not that great of a segment, losing the heat that we just gained, but Black comes across well while Cabana struggles, and we're just continuing to build towards that turning point three-way as I said. We then get an interview with CM Punk's opponent for the night, Frankie Kazarian, and he is asked why he wanted to be the man to face CM Punk in his first singles match on Impact. Frankie is joined by the rest of the forefathers, and he says that any one of them was ready to take this challenge. They were all ready to step up. After what happened at Hard Justice, Christopher Daniels was in particular desperate to get his hands on CM Punk. However, just like AJ Styles, Frankie Kazarian's issues with CM Punk are personal, so he spoke to the rest of the forefathers, then he spoke to Paul Heyman, and this match was made. As much as all of this has been about defending TNA, tonight is going to be about just the two of them in the ring. Frankie Kazarian has been part of this company for a very, very long time. He's one of the few guys who can remember CM Punk's first run the way he remembers it. Punk couldn't cut it and ran off back to Ring of Honor. It's no surprise that he's so attached to that company. But since then, and for the years that followed, Kazarian has wanted to get his hands on CM Punk. He cannot wait for this main event. JB then asks the forefathers, since they're here, how do they feel about the upcoming Impact Wrestling name change? The forefathers all agree that as much as they love TNA, if Impact Wrestling keeps the same spirit, if the wrestlers continue to put on the best shows possible, then it doesn't really matter what the name is. TNA Impact becomes Impact Wrestling. That's perfectly fine with them. So while of course they pay tribute to the history of TNA, they're very much looking forward to what may be coming. Tyler Black is then seen returning to the locker room of the New Age of Honor, and he once again raises issue with other people getting involved in his business. If it isn't Austin Aries last week, it's another bunch of idiots coming out of nowhere and for some reason wanting to get involved with him. When it's just him, or just him and the Kings, everything runs smoothly, it's all going fine, but when everybody else gets involved, it goes wrong. Steve Corino approaches Tyler Black, looking to calm him down, and also advising him that calling Aries an idiot probably isn't a very good idea. Black rolls his eyes as Corino tries to explain that there is something much bigger at play. A loss here and there doesn't change that. Black asks what bigger picture doesn't involve winning being the most important thing. He knows that Steve used to be a fighter, but now all Black sees is a guy who spends more time in meetings than he does in the gym. Steve warns Black not to say something he'll regret, so Tyler just storms off and says that everybody needs to get this message by Turning Point. He's coming to take his X Division Championship, and he doesn't need anybody to get involved. Black then leaves the locker room, with Steve Corino asking the Kings of Wrestling to go after him. You guys can talk him round, he likes you too. But Hero says, Steve, Tyler's right, and leaves with him. the three men all going out of the locker room, and the tension, the fractions between this New Age of Honor group continuing to grow, it seems. But the bond between Black, Kiro and Castagnoli as strong as ever, and everybody doing well when improvising means that it is a very solid segment. The second match of the night is one we announced last week, and it is Amazing Red and D'Angelo Dinero working together very well to defeat the Young Bucks in 9 minutes and 28. D'Angelo Dinero pinning Matt Jackson with a DDE, and this is part of the ongoing Pope versus Sweet and Sour storyline. After the match, Amazing Red and D'Angelo Dinero celebrate their victory in the ring, with Rosita, who was at ringside, joining them and heading straight towards the Pope. Red looks a little bit unsure as the two embrace, but he lets it go. Everybody's delighted. D'Angelo's on the run of his career. Rosita was saved by him. The three stand tall together as the commentators put over the performance of Red and Dinero. It was their first time teaming, and they did a really good job considering. Sarah Del Rey then speaks in the back with SoCal Val. She says that she has her eye on Gail Kim's match later tonight. SDR reiterates that she has decided to terminate her association with Daisy Hayes and Mischief and is focusing only on herself and herself alone going forward. That begins at Turning Point when she faces Gail Kim in that Bound for Glory rematch, so a straightforward segment, re-establishing what we said on Evolve. Sarah Del Rey is going it alone, and she's got that match with Gail Kim at Turning Point. Desmond Wolfe then comes down to the ring, and he speaks about his history with Ring of Honor, unfortunately not doing well without a script to follow. I thought this would be a lot better. Wolfe also talks about the fact that he is a former Ring of Honor World Champion, and what he's seen from CM Punk since he came to this company, it hasn't been about Ring of Honor, it's been about that man's agenda. When Punk left Ring of Honor the first time, he didn't give a damn about anybody else in that locker room, and he doesn't understand what's changed in the last 6 years. He says that he doesn't believe a word that Punk has said since he came here, but he can't deny that he deserves to be ROH World Champion. He's sure we're going to see again in the main event just how good this man is in the ring. But at Turning Point, Desmond Wolfe is looking to regain championship gold with his ultimate sight set on becoming the first Impact World Champion at Final Battle. So a straightforward setup promo for his pay-per-view match. As he goes on, Samoa Joe appears on the screen. Joe tells Wolfe that he doesn't stand a chance against CM Punk. He can bang the drum all he wants, he can try and get the people invested, but everybody knows that Punk is going to win, especially when Joe is coming to get his win back on Wolfe next week on Impact. That match is going to be just 3 nights before the Ring of Honor World Championship match, and Joe doesn't fancy Wolfe's chances of coming out of that match at anything like 100%, so a huge challenge for Desmond Wolfe, and that's another really big match set for next week's Impact. In the back, we then get a promo from Austin Aries, and he's promoting that straight after Impact goes off the air, he is in a match in the main event of Evolve against Roderick Strong. He says he knows exactly why Roderick Strong has made the challenge, as he wants to stand up and be proud for his mentor Kurt Angle, the same guy who didn't pick Roddy for his team at Bound for Glory. But Aries does accept that Kurt Angle saw something in Roderick Strong, he took him under his wing, but what Strong seems to forget is that before TNA, Aries was the guy who he came to for advice. On Evolve, Aries is going to drop Strong with a brainbuster, and then the whole world will see what Aries has seen for years, Roderick Strong being nothing but a disappointment. So again, good improvisation from Austin Aries, and we're happy with that as we advance the Austin Aries leads the charge storyline. He's still going against those TNA guys. He's taken out Kurt Angle, he's taken out Jeff Hardy. We've not seen Sting since Bound for Glory, so he's doing a pretty good job, it has to be said. We then get a match that has decent reaction but subpar wrestling. Good performances, to be fair, from Gail Kim and Awesome Kong, and it is Gail Kim who picks up the win. Her, Awesome Kong and Adra Kong defeating Brooke and the Beautiful People. Kim with a eat defeat on Brooke. It's an average match, but interesting to see Kong and Kim on the same team, and again it doesn't bode well for the Beautiful People's rematch at Turning Point. Kim with another good win, and she stands tall, joined by the Knockouts Tag Team Champions Double Kong. The commentators put over the fact that Sarah Del Rey will have been watching that match very closely, and their opinion that the Beautiful People stand next to a 0% chance of winning at Turning Point. Taz says that Angelina Love and Velvet are going to have to pull something out of the bag, as what they're doing now simply isn't working. We return to the second hour of the show. Bryan Danielson has a opponent which has been not yet announced, and it's the returning Matt Morgan. We've not seen him for a few months, and the commentators do their best to put him over as this giant, this potentially unstoppable force. If you look at how he's been booked, probably fair to say that's not quite accurate, but still, it gives Bryan a big challenge to overcome. Bryan with a really good performance. The idea of him trying to chop down this giant, showing the versatility. It's not just guys of his size that he can out-wrestle, he can also out-maneuver and outwork a guy like Matt Morgan, who doesn't do too well. He's off his game. That's related to a couple of things, I think. One being we've not used him for a while. Two being that his morale is very poor, and basically the only reason that I've brought him back is because he's in the last month of his contract, and I thought I'd give Bryan what we can present as a big win before Matt Morgan goes out of the door. It seems pointless for me to keep him. I did like him. He's somebody I thought we could have a unique spot for in the company at the start, but he just doesn't fit in at the minute. He's somebody who you have to protect and keep strong, but for me, there's 20 better wrestlers than him on the roster, and having like a special attraction type guy as just another guy, it just doesn't work for me. Hence why he's losing to Bryan on his way out. I'd be surprised if we see him again. Bryan Danielson has his arm raised and AJ Styles comes out to the ring. Bad improvisation from Bryan Danielson, but it's still a really good segment, so no complaints there, and we gain heat to the main storyline, so very, very happy with that. Styles gives Bryan credit for his performance tonight, and last week when they were up close and personal, he teamed with him and he was impressed. Every time he sees Danielson, he understands more and more his reputation as one of the best in-ring technicians in the business. That's the ability that has seen him go undefeated in singles competition in over a year with TNA. But like when he handed CM Punk his first defeat at Bound for Glory, the fact that AJ Styles has no choice but to win means that nothing will stop him. That match at Bound for Glory was about protecting TNA from CM Punk and everything that he has planned. But Final Resolution and the World Heavyweight Championship unification match, those stakes are even higher. AJ Styles cannot lose at Turning Point. As big of a challenge that he knows Bryan Danielson will be, he has to dig deeper. Bryan has no issue with AJ Styles feeling like that. He'd expect no less, but he asks the Phenomenal One to look him in the eyes and repeat it and tell him that he really believes that he can beat him. At Bound for Glory, AJ Styles didn't beat Bryan to take the title, just like, as AJ said, nobody's been able to put him down in over a year. Bryan asks AJ, "Do you really think that you can beat me?" AJ Styles' response is simple: "I have to beat you at Turning Point." So again, it's the dynamic of, you might look at Bryan Danielson and think he is the better wrestler than AJ Styles, but it's the emotion, the passion, and the love for this company that we've seen that has carried AJ Styles through. So it's sort of the question of what will prevail, straightforward ability or AJ Styles' determination to make it to the final battle. Roderick Strong then responds to Austin Aries speaking with Jeremy Borash, and he says that part of him wanting this match was because of what he saw Aries do to Kurt Angle at Bound for Glory. More than anything though, he's fighting for everybody who is just done with all of this. For Roderick Strong, 2012 cannot come soon enough. A fresh start, a new name, Impact Wrestling is coming, and Strong wants to make a signal of his intentions for the new year later on tonight on Evolve. So a basic segment setting up that match later. As attention turns to the next match, the commentators are informed of an incident taking place in the back, so we're going to have to cut away. There we see that Daisy Hayes and Mischief are in the process of attacking Gail Kim, having jumped her from behind. Running in on the attack pretty quickly, Sarah Del Rey drags Daisy Hayes away, then grabs Mischief as well, and she angrily warns them to back off. Del Rey says that they don't need to do this, but Mischief says that Sarah Del Rey will thank them later. She doesn't realise it, but she needs them. Look at what happened at Bound for Glory when you sent us away. SDR says that she tried to do this the easy way, but if these two women don't want it to become an issue between her and them, they will keep out of her business like she told them to. Daisy Hayes and Mischief leave, with Hayes adding, "Your business is our business, Sarah, and it always will be." So losing heat to the storyline, but it's that wrinkle in there of, can we trust Sarah Del Rey? Is she legitimate when she says that she's going it alone? Or are Daisy Hayes and Mischief still a factor in this? The more cynically minded could say that Sarah Del Rey was suspiciously quick on the scene, but perhaps it's just a case of her being in the area. Hamada then defeats Sarita in 9 minutes and 50 seconds by stoppage when Sarita couldn't continue, and the finish that we want for the match is the repeated kicks to the head We've seen Bryan Danielson do it a lot in reality, where Hamada grabs the arms of her opponent and then stamps on her head. Eventually, Sarita's out cold. The referee has no choice but to stop the match, and it's a good match of 67, 2 solid performances, and we're seeing a more brutal side to Hamada, it has to be said. And after the match, Taylor Wilde rushes in to check on her former partner Sarita. A brutal finish to the match. Even though they're both faces and Hamada did nothing wrong really, it's still a little bit much to be stamping the head in of your opponent. Hamada remains unmoved and completely unconcerned about Sarita. She even seems slightly annoyed that Wilde's concerned about her. She sees it as just her simply doing what it takes to get the match won, looking to leave the ring. Hamada wants Wilde to follow her, but Taylor is quite shocked by the coldness of her friend and partner. She stays to check on Sarita, who is also checked on by the referee. Hamada shrugs it off and heads to the back. So again, shades of grey really. Hamada technically hasn't done anything wrong. You can certainly see Taylor Wilde's side of the argument as well. Jay Lethal's in the back and he invites everybody to join him for Evolve for an Impact. We're doing quite a bit of promotion for that show because after weeks of delays and interruption, nothing is going to get in the way of him saying what he has to say tonight. The Evolve champion says that he has something he needs to share with Maria and for the rest of the world, something he has needed to say for a very, very long time, and he'll be in the ring on Evolve on his show to do just that. We then go into the main event, which is a brilliant match, quite clearly the best match that Frankie Kazarian's ever had in the company, and we're just seeing how valuable CM Punk is. He was a little bit slow with his promo ratings and his in-ring ratings for the first maybe couple of matches and the first couple of months, but we're seeing now what he is capable of. A 92 in the main event of Impact, and it's a clean victory with a go-to sleep. The game keeps saying Pepsi Plunge. I need to take that out because other than I think he did it once in AEW, it's a move that he's not done for a very, very long time. We of course get the crowd buzzing and it's 13 minutes, so a competitive match, but still in CM Punk's Impact singles debut, it's fair to say he was always going to win. It's more just the spectacle of being able to see CM Punk in singles action on free TV rather than there being any doubt about the result of the match. After the match, CM Punk continues to show no respect to his opponent Frankie Kazarian, trashing the TNA Original as his arm is raised in the ring. He's not doing anything physical and he's just being disrespectful and quite dismissive of the guy who did just give him quite a bit of trouble in their match. Punk then tells Earl Hebner to get Frankie out of his ring as he takes a microphone. Angered by this attitude, Desmond Wolfe is quickly out to confront his turning point opponent, but the ROH World Championship contender is jumped from behind by his opponent for next week, Samoa Joe. Joe tosses Wolfe into the ring, with Punk lifting him up for a go to sleep. He then decides he's not going to hit that move, he's saving that for turning point. He takes Wolfe off his shoulders and passes him to Joe. Joe locks in the Kikina clutch and chokes out Desmond Wolfe, CM Punk getting in the face as he continues to fade, reminding him that before he faces Punk at turning point, he's got to get through Joe next week on Impact. So those two men standing tall to end the show, Punk and Joe, very smug, and the fact that Punk's got this right-hand man Samoa Joe who is standing between him and his challenger does put the ball in his court. It's an excellent way to end the show, and I think this is going to be one of our best Impacts ever. I think that is the best. I think we've had 86 ratings and 85 ratings for Impact. I feel like I say this every week, but we are pushing the levels up week by week by week, and I could not be happier. Absolutely fantastic to see, and we'll go now into that Evolve, which we've promoted quite a bit for. I've got high hopes for that main event between Austin Aries and Roderick Strong, so let's see how that show goes. And we begin with Jay Lethal in the ring, ready to make his big announcement. He wants to bring out the love of his life, Maria. However, instead, ODB comes out. She says that Jay clearly didn't read the board in the back. There's no time for his announcement because Maria has got a match up next against her. ODB gets in the ring. Jay Lethal obviously pissed off about this. ODB defeats Maria in 5 minutes and 58 with a TKO. They've been feuding for quite a few weeks now, so we wanted to give ODB the win. During the match, Jay Lethal was at ringside as he looked to get involved and tried to help his girlfriend. Obviously, last time they had this match, Jay Lethal withdrew Maria from the match, so ODB only defeated her by count out. This time, Chris Sabin comes out, makes sure that Jay Lethal can't do that again, and ODB does get the clean victory. She's delighted with the win as Sabin helps clear Jay Lethal away from the ring. Lethal and Maria leave together. The Evolve champion is absolutely furious that he has once again been stopped from making his announcement. We then get a really good segment or promo from Desmond Wolfe. It's a recap of what happened at the end of Impact, followed by the furious post-show reaction of Desmond Wolfe. He's come round now and we've stuck a camera in his face, so understandably he is fired up. He's ready to fight Joe, then he's ready to fight Punk. He's determined to become the Ring of Honor World Champion and the first Impact World Champion. LAX then defeat Future Shock in 9 minutes and 50. Hernandez pinning Kyle O'Reilly following a border toss. Decent performances from Homicide and Hernandez. They have great chemistry together and it's a 55 rating. After the match, they stand tall. The American Wolves coming out, of course, the turning point challengers for the American Wolves are LAX. They, once again, don't really want to get their hands dirty and they call for their backup. Future Shock are down, so it is ANX who they want to come out. Rhett Titus comes out and he's explaining to the two of them Kenny King's refusing, he's not going to come out and do this. The Wolves are furious about this and head off to the back. LAX laughing at the dysfunction of the New Age of Honor. Not only do we have everything going on Impact with Tyler Black and the Kings of Wrestling seemingly not happy with their position in the group, it looks like Kenny King has also been influenced by this and is sick of being the lackey for the more experienced members of the group. We then get a promo from the Beautiful People show. Next week is Thanksgiving and they are promoting a Beautiful People Thanksgiving party next week on Impact. Unfortunately, it's not going to be quite as exclusive as they'd hoped because it's open to all of the Impact roster and we're just going to do a few segments throughout the night that play on the fact that it is Thanksgiving. We also have 2 Battle Royals, which I'll talk more about next week when they come. We then get a promo / vignette. Jimmy Jacobs putting over Brody Lee. His impact will be felt soon. Brody Lee is coming back to Impact. He made his debut at ROH vs TNA Glory by Honor. We've not seen him since then, and he is kind of the secret weapon of the New Age of Honor right now. We don't know when he's going to show up, but when he does, it's going to be a bit of a trump card for the group. We then get a solid main event. I might have hoped for better. I just thought I'd give him like a really long time, nearly 20 minutes, and just see what they did. So it is a good match. A 73 is one of the better performances we've ever seen from Roderick Strong, and I'm not surprised that someone like Austin Aries has brought that out of him. They have great chemistry, as we know. So much history between them. We do get the crowd buzzing, which is good, and Austin Aries has an 84 rating. I'm thinking maybe because I set this as a steal of the show, and I set the Impact main event as a steal of the show, we may get a note here, something about the crowd being, oh no, it's just a lack of storyline. That's quite disappointing because I could quite easily have made this part of the Austin Aries leads the way storyline because it kind of is. But Aries stands tall, a hard fought battle against a former friend. While he has picked up the win, his idea that Strong's a disappointment and not on his level, that's been disproven because they went nearly 20 minutes back and forth, but Aries is the better man on the night, so he'll be happy with that. 70 is an okay rating for Evolve, I suppose, and overall it's been another fantastic week. Like I said, the best impacts that we've ever done. I'm pretty sure of that. I will double check that now actually, but the build to Turning Point continuing as we look to close out what has been an absolutely excellent year for the company. The feedback of the show excellent, as we'd expect. We have struck gold with Impact and we get a lot of praise for Evolve, so all good news there. Daphne's contract, we will look to extend that, and D'Angelo Dinero getting praise from Jeff Jarrett. I'm really happy to see that because I have been a little bit worried with how D'Angelo Dinero's done since his return, so getting a little bit of positivity there does give me hope that it's just a case of building that momentum for him, and we'll pretty easily continue to do that because I'm determined to strongly push him, give him the push that he deserves on his return after missing such a long time with injury. And we see there that is not our best Impact. I've seemingly completely forgot about that 89 that we had just a couple of weeks ago, but it's a great show. That's all there is to it basically. And if you look, October 2011, October, November, October, September, so much of the top 20 is just shows that we've done recently, so I'm so happy with that. And again, that Frankie Kazarian CM Punk match coming in at 7th, so we're putting on great stuff all the time. I can't have any complaints with how things are going at the minute. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back next week with another episode.